Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are hitting a massive milestone in our UI learning journey. Think of this as a conceptual Day 6 milestone in our curriculum. We're diving into the absolute lifeblood of modern web development, state and events. Because let's be honest, if you've ever clicked a button on a website and literally nothing happened, you know exactly why we need to master this. We're going to start by looking closely at how frameworks like React handle local state and user events, like toggling a dark mode or typing in a form. Then we're going to zoom way out. We'll look at the broader 2026 front-end landscape to see how the whole ecosystem is evolving to solve these exact same problems. It's a really fascinating journey, so let's just jump right in.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. 1. The magic of local state. 2. Handling user events. 3. The 2026 front-end landscape. 4. Web components and lit. 5. The HTML-first approach. And finally, 6. Hydration versus non-hydration.
All right, Section 1, the magic of local state. Let's unpack what state actually means before we start making things click and flash on the screen.
So at its core, state is just the data your application needs to function at any given moment. You can kind of think of state as the brain's short-term memory for your app. Whether that's a logged-in user's name, the item sitting in a shopping cart, or just knowing if a pop-up modal is currently open or closed, that is all state. And managing it predictably, that's absolutely crucial. It's the key to building a scalable, bug-free user interface. Without a solid grip on state, your app is just going to become a chaotic, unpredictable mess.
Now, there are two main flavors of state we deal with. Local state is strictly contained. Like we saw in our Day 6 training, it handles those immediate UI interactions, capturing what you type into a search box or flipping that dark mode toggle. Global state, on the flip side, is data that needs to be shared across the entire application, like your overall theme preferences or that shopping cart we mentioned. The golden rule for 2026, keep your state as local as possible and only bump it up to global when you absolutely have to.
Moving on to Section 2, handling user events. We know what state is, but how do we actually trigger it to change and bring the app to life?
Well, React handles interactivity in this very distinct, really elegant three-step loop. First, you get a user interaction. Someone clicks a button or hits a key. Second, that event triggers a state update, typically using something like the useState hook. And third, React's virtual DOM takes over. It compares the new state to the old state, figures out exactly what tiny piece of the real DOM needs to change, and gracefully updates the screen. It gives you this incredibly dynamic interface while keeping you safely away from the risks of manual DOM manipulation.
And this declarative architecture? It's honestly what makes React feel like magic. You're not writing out these tedious, imperative steps, telling the browser exactly how to change every single pixel. Instead, your components just receive data, the state, and simply return the markup that should appear. State changes, the screen changes automatically. It's just a beautiful, functional way to think about UI. All right, Section 3, the 2026 front-end landscape. React's virtual DOM is fantastic, obviously, but let's see how the rest of the ecosystem is tackling these same hurdles.
The industry right now is basically in a massive performance arms race. While React uses the virtual DOM to keep state synced, other tools have carved out totally different paths. Solid.js, for instance, uses fine-grained signals for blazing fast, targeted updates. No virtual DOM required. Angular has really matured for the enterprise with its structured dependency injection and a brand new Signals API. And Vue, it just continues to offer this incredible flexibility that makes it super easy to onboard new developers.
But then there's Svelte. Svelte basically asks, why even ship a virtual DOM to the user if you don't have to? It entirely skips that runtime diffing step we talked about earlier. Instead, Svelte acts as a compiler. It takes your state and event logic and at build time compiles it into highly efficient, direct DOM manipulation code. So you're getting the exact same reactive magic as React, but with significantly less JavaScript sent down the wire. It's incredibly lightweight.
Okay, Section 4, Web Components and Lit. What if we want to step completely outside of these framework-specific models?
Enter native web components. These don't rely on React or Svelte or Vue. Instead, they harness 4 native browser APIs. And together, these let you create reusable, totally encapsulated HTML tags that just work everywhere. You use custom elements to define your new tag, ES modules to load the logic, Shadow DOM to trap the CSS inside so your styles don't leak out and ruin the rest of your page, and HTML templates to render the structure. It's all built right into the browser.
Now, there is a catch. Writing vanilla web components by hand can be notoriously verbose and imperative. You have to manually query the DOM and wire up the state changes yourself. But by layering a lightweight library called Lit on top, we'll eliminate all that tedious boilerplate. Lit gives us the declarative syntax and automatic property bindings we love. We can bind user events and state almost exactly like we do in React, but the output is a standard framework-agnostic web component. It's a huge win.
Next up, Section 5, the HTML-first approach. We're about to pivot entirely to a paradigm that challenges almost everything we've covered so far.
I absolutely love this quote from the HTMX docs because it perfectly nails their philosophy. Modern single-page apps push a ton of state and logic to the browser using JSON and heavy JavaScript payloads. HTMX looks at that and says, let's go back to basics. Keep the state on the server and use hypertext, literally just HTML, as the engine of application state. The server sends HTML, the browser displays it. That's the whole shebang.
So you're probably wondering, how does HTMX handle complex events without local state? Brilliantly, actually. You don't need a React state variable or a custom JavaScript event listener. You just use simple HTML attributes. You can literally tell a search box to wait 500 milliseconds after a key-up event and then automatically fire off a server request to fetch the new HTML results. You get this incredibly rich interactivity driven entirely by HTML attributes, whether it's a hover, a form submission, or even just scrolling an element into view.
And finally, Section 6, hydration versus non-hydration. Let's look at the hidden performance cost that developers are completely obsessed with fixing in 2026. Here's the deal. Traditional server-side rendering in React or Angular has a major flaw. It sends the HTML down to the client so you see the page quickly, but the page is basically frozen. It isn't interactive until the browser downloads and executes a massive amount of JavaScript just to attach event listeners and rebuild the state. That process is called hydration, and it causes a terribly slow time to interactive. Frameworks like Quick solve this with a radically different non-hydration architecture based on resumability.
Think of Quick like pausing a video game. It completely pre-renders the page and its state on the server, pauses it, and sends the HTML. Then, when the user interacts, say they click a specific button, Quick progressively downloads only the tiny chunk of JavaScript needed for that exact component, precisely at the moment it's needed. There is no massive upfront hydration tax. It's practically instant.
So here we are at the finish line. We started today looking at the basic magic of local state from our Day 6 React training and traveled all the way out to resumable architectures and server-driven HTML. Before you just default to the framework you know best for your next project, really evaluate your constraints. Does your team need the massive ecosystem of React? Are you craving the Zero.js simplicity of HTMX? Or maybe the instant performance of Quick? Which of these paradigms are you going to choose to build your next big idea? Keep learning, keep experimenting, and I'll catch you in the next Explain.